Hey everybody, welcome to Adobe Live. My name's Flynn. I'm here with the fantastic Jappy Agoncillo. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming from today and also pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Jappy, what's up? How you doing?
Hey Flynn. Hey everyone. That was a better intro for me than last time.
I
I didn't
liked
mess up.
both.
All right, so here we are.
Here we are. We're back for part two. In case you did miss on Tuesday, we're here with Jappy and doing digital murals. So we'll get stuck into that in just a second. Jappy's an artist, muralist, illustrator from Manila in the Philippines. And we spoke a little bit about your time in New York, which I want to get into in a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions about your time in New
Sure.
York. I've got some of them down here. But if you're watching over on Behance, that's great. Let us know. I can see Jessica, Paloma, Johanna's in chat, looking after us and all that sort of stuff. So if you're watching over on YouTube or Twitter and you want to say hello, let us know where you're from. And if you have any questions or comments as we're rolling along, that's the chat we are using today. But yeah, should we bring up kind of where we left off on Tuesday? Because this is a two-part series. I'll just bring up
Okay.
your... Oh yeah, you go on. You go on.
Yeah, am I sharing screen? There you are.
Yep, there it is.
So on Tuesday, let's see. It was much messier than this. I think this was the sketch.
Did a
we
bit
had.
of cleaning up, did you?
I cleaned it
between
up. I was like,
streams?
you know what? I'm gonna get roasted for this. I'm gonna clean up. So this was the sketch we had on Tuesday. I also put like a white overlay over the wall. So this is pretty much what we had when we left off. That mess.
Nice. I liked it.
So last Tuesday we just decided like how to draw, how to kind of design a digital mural, how to find a wall, how to find a spot, what kind of sort of things you want to do to make it look more realistic as a mural, and how it all fits together with the space, context, and all that. And then in between, I decided to clean up the file just so it looks professional. So what I did was I separated kind of the wall area. I did like a copy. I did all that. I selected it, copied it, then made it a little whiter with adjustments. So I adjusted the levels to make it a little white, less saturated, so that when you pop the artwork on, it later on, I'll show you that, it'll look more realistic, because before it was kind of just gray. And when you do the multiply layer thing, it didn't look very good. So just add a little bit of white. And then I also put, I semi-learned how to mask just for you guys. So later on we'll be drawing within the mask so that it stays in there. If I'm not mistaken, that's how mask works. There we are, see? So
Nice. So you say you semi-learn how to mask. So is that like something that you don't do all the time, masking?
no, because I got really used to, like we were talking last week about how we're so stuck in our ways sometimes, and I'm in the habit of, I'm just gonna delete everything or use the lasso tool, or dare I say the this one, what's this, the magic wand tool,
Magic wand, yeah.
that no one should be using apparently, just to select and then erase the stuff I don't need. I don't usually mask, but I wanted to learn that also again, because I always Google it, like how to mask, and I always forget. So hopefully this time it sticks.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You don't, like often in our practice, it'll be something, a tool you haven't used or a method you haven't used in a while, and everybody does the same thing. Do quick Google, find a video on YouTube where it's got like a 1 minute thing, and like, oh, that's right, I know how to do it. Okay, cool, and then you jump in. I think we all do that for stuff, because there's so many different
it's
tools.
not completely intuitive, the masking thing. I mean, not for me, because you think, okay, I gotta draw within this space only. Oh, I'll just delete whatever we don't need. So yeah. Anyway, from there, I just kind of clean up the sketch with this one, which I called main sketch. and then we're just gonna ink that today. I also prepared like a small color palette. I was searching through color palettes. I thought, okay, I should probably have one prepared. And I'll talk a little bit about that later.
Awesome.
So yeah,
And
that's what
this
we do.
original photo is somewhere in Manila that you've just sort of walked
Oh yeah.
past, and you're like, yeah, that'd be a really cool wall to paint. So we're going to do a
hmm
digital version of a mural here.
Yeah, 'cause something I do, if you guys watch, I said this before, if you guys play a lot of Tony Hawk games,
Yeah.
they basically make all the obstacles are skatable. And so, I grew up thinking that like, oh, this obstacle or this house could be skated if you just fix this part. And it translated into, I just look at walls and say, if you just did a little bit of tweaking, you could paint that. So I always look for creative ways around things. So when I'm out and about, I'm thinking, what wall would I love to paint? And I just take pictures. Maybe I'll never get to paint them. Maybe I will.
Mm.
Maybe I'll get to design them digitally like this. So that's what happened.
Oh man, as a Tony Hawk pro skater fanboy, I'm with you on that. It's
Right?
funny, isn't it? Yeah, because you like look at things and you're like, oh man, you could go across the top of that edge and then kick flip
Anything,
off and then jump off the edge. If they put a little ramp down there, you could like acid
yeah.
drop in.
Anything with an incline, you're like, you can use that for something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
totally usable. So
yeah.
yeah, I
I'm with
grew up
you.
doing that, and that's how I think now. Like everything can be something if you
Mm,
really just uh, think about it hard enough, even if it seems impossible. And
yeah.
that's creativity, I guess, in a nutshell. So yeah, I think we're just gonna start inking it. So again, brushes I use is just the normal, the not the normal, they're the True Grit brushes, which I use for the sketches. I use for most things because I like the
Mm,
grittiness of it. And I found this color palette online. So I said, again, like if you guys want like to take references, there's no shame in that. So I just go through a bunch of artworks I like and say, oh, that color palette's interesting. Let me add this, let me add that, and then make my own. So,
mm.
and I wanted to kind of challenge myself here with a limited colors. Um, so I wanted a red background because if you can see the wall, it's mostly just greens. It's all
Right.
greens. And the sky, so I thought, okay, if you put in something really bright, really loud, like red, it'll stand out. So when people look across, this is across from a Starbucks. If you look across and you're like, it catches the eye immediately. Oh, that's really interesting. Someone painted that, and it
Mm.
looks really good with all the green and stuff. So
Oh, that's cool. That's really interesting. Yeah. So if you zoom out and you're looking at the environment, like where it was shot, you've
yeah,
got blue in the sky, you've got gray, a bit of white, gray with the clouds, and then but it is
hmm
mostly green, isn't it? Like even that fence in front of it. And so you're like, okay, cool. What color will help make this like stand out? It's
you
a
kind of want to think about the surroundings of a wall as the frame. So how
mm.
is it framed by whatever's there also? So that's how I think about it at least. So I'm gonna go into the mask layer. Let me see if I'm doing this right. And I'm gonna start inking it. Um, yeah.
It's funny. So we were talking about True Grit texture supply on Tuesday quite a bit. I'm sure Johanna can
Mhm.
share a link to that there, which has like a lot of texture packs and um, brushes and things like that to check out. It's really funny because since Tuesday's stream we are talking about it. My Instagram ads are all True Grit texture supply
They're
stuff.
listening.
So I think because I googled it at one point to share the link in chat. But yeah, that's super cool.
Google's listening
Yeah.
for sure. But with the amount of word of mouth we give to True Grit, they should at least say hi.
Yeah. We'll
Hey
message Andrew
guys,
Fairclough and tell him to jump in chat. Um,
how about a little sponsor?
we got a question from chat.
Yeah.
From Johanna. So Johanna says, Tony Hawk, that's a throwback. I'm going to have to kick flip. Nice one. Us up with this question. What's your favorite video game growing up and what is it now?
Oh my, that's forever on this question. Um, well, it's safe to say it was Tony Hawk. That's actually how I got my start. Really wanting to do art was not just comics. Well, comics was a big part. Like I was always a big comic book fan, but creating art, um, like art, not just comic art, was because I wanted to design my own board graphics when I was
Right.
a kid.
Nice.
Because when I was a kid, skateboarding wasn't so accessible. It was the early 2000s. And at least where how I knew it, you could only get a skateboard at the toy store. And at the toy store, the skateboards are not good.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the
They're because
design
they're
is
for kids,
stock.
right? They're kind of
Yeah,
cheaper. Yeah. Yeah.
they're like these kids aren't gonna be skateboarding forever, and their parents don't really care. So we're gonna give them just the subpar skateboard. And I thought, okay, the graphics of this is kind of terrible. So I wanted to do the art on it because I was playing Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. That was my
Yeah.
first Tony Hawk game. Um, and the art of that was by the artist Jimbo Phillips. He did most of the illustrations. He's the artist of Santa Cruz skateboards. So I got really a deep dove into the culture and the arts of all of it, the street art aspect, the illustration aspect, and yeah. So I think I owe a lot of my artistry to the Tony Hawk games.
Yeah.
And not just like I was saying, the kind of creative mind of what's possible also came from those video games.
Yeah.
So there. Now my favorite video game is. People are gonna start judging me.
No, this is a safe space. I'll let you know
Safe
mine as
space?
well, and people will judge mine anyway. So go
Oh,
for it.
okay. Well, okay. Stuff. I'm really into. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Hades.
Oh, I've heard that's
Shout
really
out-
good.
Yeah, it's amazing because I'm a Greek mythology fan.
Mm.
Greek mythology fanboy, really. Because it's just comics, but for the ancient times, if you really think
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot of Hades. I've been playing a lot of. I used to play a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh man, that game is beautiful.
It's
One of the most
amazing.
beautiful games I've ever played, I think.
Right?
Yeah.
And the story is so original
Yeah.
and mind blowing, and the sequel's coming out this month, which is interesting.
Yeah, but not on PC. It's coming out on
PlayStation only.
PlayStation only. Yeah, so I'll have to wait like 4 years to play it. No, that's cool. It's very interesting, isn't it? How these pieces of culture, like so many like artists and designers, like it has come from something like skateboarding or computer games or like movies or something, like the real passion and that kind of love for being creative and creating your own artwork. Like I know so many, like growing up in Australia, I think a lot of students at my school, wanted to design skateboard graphics as well. And that's why they became graphic designers. And even though graphic design in and of itself isn't really, the pathway
Skateboard
towards
related.
that, it's kind of what kind of sparked the beginning of wanting to create.
Exactly.
Which is super cool. And computer games as well. Yeah, you can judge me. My game at the moment is Diablo Resurrected, the D2R.
Oh, I've never played that, but I heard good things.
It's just a nostalgia trip. Like it's literally the same game reskinned that I played 20 years ago. But that's a bit of fun when I can find the time for that one, jumping in there. Michael in chat, the OG Star Wars Battlefront, that was a good game.
I've never played that either. I feel so. Something's messing up with my mask. I never played Battlefront because I always thought Star Wars games were kind of bad.
Well, there was a lot of them, right? So there's like a lot of.
There was a lot of them, and I played
It's hard to
Revenge
navigate
of the
which is the
Sith.
good ones. Yeah.
I played the Revenge of the Sith movie game, and it was just terrible. So I thought, okay, maybe Star Wars doesn't make good games. I'm just gonna.
It can be hard, isn't it? Because obviously some games are like a cash grab off the, piggy.
Yeah, like the movie, like the one I played, the Revenge of the Sith. It wasn't good. It was just parts of it was game, and then the cutscenes weren't even like cutscenes. It was just scenes from the movie that they spliced into it. It was lazy.
Oh, really?
It was
That was
so
actually just
lazy,
scenes
yeah.
from the movie.
It was just scenes from the movie. Those were the cutscenes. There wasn't any video game cutscenes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is lazy. Not even any
That
extra
was
little bits
cash grab.
of lore or Easter
None.
eggs or anything.
No. It was just you're playing the movie.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, that was it.
I have another question from chat. Would you consider making art for a game yourself, either promo or in-game?
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be a cool project.
That would be.
Right?
It's on the bucket list of like maybe a video game tie-in or promo at least for a video game to want my artwork to be part of their stuff. That would be amazing.
Mm.
If it were Tony Hawk, I would say yes in a heartbeat. If Tony called me, hey, can you draw stuff for the game? Like, I'll just tell him, don't pay me. I'll do it for free. I'll pay you, Tony, to let me draw this. I know you're rich and stuff, but I'll pay you to let me draw this, Tony.
That'll be awesome,
If you're
right? Like, oh,
watching.
we want some custom like skate decks for like the character skins. Can you design a couple of those for us?
Right?
Lose your
Or
mind.
even because I know artists, they hire artists to do in movies and in video games. They hire street, like if they need graffiti, they
Yeah,
hire actual graffiti artists to design those. They hire actual illustrators to put in-game content. So that would be an interesting way to do it as well.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Um, Another question. Thanks for the question, guys. We'll just keep rolling with the questions as we're inking
Yeah.
unless Jappy tells me to stop so he can
No,
focus.
no, no, it's fine.
But we'll roll with them all. I love them.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite manga artist?
Oh, I didn't read a lot of manga. Oh, now you guys are gonna come at me. I didn't read a lot of manga growing up, because mostly I was saying how that was American comics for me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the style I grew up with. So I didn't get to read a lot of manga.
So what about same question, but just general like comic artists? Do you have any kind of? I'm really terrible. Like I read Marvel comics, but I actually forget. Like for some reason, I don't retain the artist like names. But every now and then, I'll see a new series and I'll be like, oh, it's that artist. I really like that artist. But for some
Oh,
reason, I
yeah,
don't.
you can tell who they are by the style. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be the names. Comic book artists I love right now. Wow, that's a loaded one. A classic one is John Romita Jr. So he does Spider-Man. He's doing Spider-Man now, and his
Right.
father, John Romita Sr., I think designed the OG, the what is now the iconic Spider-Man suit,
Oh wow.
with the big eyes, not the small ones that the original artist Steve Ditko did.
Mm,
Um, I also love Jim Lee from DC. He's super
mm.
popular. He does Batman, Superman. He does the iconic drawings of Batman and Superman. So there's that. And really new, really recently is Gary Frank. He does a lot of Green Lantern now, a lot of Batman. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, if you guys can check them out, they're great. And Greg Capullo, he did Batman for the New 52 run. It's amazing. And I'm just geeking out right now. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. Gary Frank, I
That's
feel
all I
like,
know.
did he do any Punisher as well? He might have done some Punisher stuff.
Maybe, but I didn't read a lot of Punisher because I was reading a lot. Right now, I read a lot of DC when I have the chance.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like I'm too saturated with Marvel stuff, so I don't buy the comics unless they have a super interesting promo or something.
yeah. Well, I use the Marvel app, Marvel Universal, so just on the iPad.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's what I read. That's what I read before I go to bed. Um, but yeah, cool.
I
Eat,
prefer reading comics like the paper, the
yeah,
actual book, because I know about the app and I know about like a bunch of like comic book readers and stuff. It's so different when you can flip the page. I don't know.
yeah.
That's just me.
No, no, you're right. You're right. It's just the convenience. Like I'm never going to kind of
Yeah,
buy comics, like buy
you don't have
entire
to go
series, and
out. You know. Yeah.
yeah, and and bit of a casual reader, so it works for me. Um, and here's an easier question from chat. Is there a name for your tiger?
No, I just the tigers I make are just tigers. They're just um. It would be interesting if I named it. And off the top of my head right now, all I can think of is Tony, which is probably taken by the cereal guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Tony the tiger.
I'll
Yeah, I
probably
have
try to
heard that
think of a
before.
better name at some point. But right now, I don't name them. It's just they're just tigers. I don't think that it's the same tiger in each artwork. Like if you're wondering if is it a series of the same creature? Like, no, it's just general tigers, I guess.
General Tiger. Well, there we go. General Tiger. There we go. Could
That's
be
a little
that.
too military for me
It
though.
does sound too military.
If my tiger was anything, he's more punk rock, I think.
Right. Could be something to do with a coffee. You said it was opposite like a Starbucks or something, didn't you?
This
Before?
one,
Yeah.
um, the Starbucks tiger or something.
We can get chat to help us out. Chat, let us know what should the tiger be called.
Name the tiger, and when I
Name the
post
tiger.
this, I will I'll credit you guys if I can find you.
There we go. There we go. Someone come up with something clever for us. Michael saying a few exceptions for Star Wars games sucking as Darth Vader's Dark Forces, Battlefront, Bounty Hunter, and SWTOR.
Oh,
I
I
think I've
played
only
Fallen
played
Order.
Battlefront.
If I can't believe they didn't mention Fallen Order though, which is the newest one for PS4. It's amazing.
I haven't played that one
So
either.
it's great. I can't even spoil it. I think it's great. You should try it.
I feel like we're spoilt with choice for games now. There's
There's too many. Yeah.
so many games that are out there, and they're so well designed to kind of suck your time, like, you know,
Like they know what they're doing. They know like
they
we need
really
you to
do.
play this for 12 hours and for people to stream it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
we
Log
want it
in
to be
once a day
streamable.
to get these rewards, and then suddenly you find yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm playing way too much of this game.
Yeah, that's business. I mean, that's why I'm very picky with video games. If I know it's gonna suck me in forever, I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit like that with some of those games. Johanna and Jeremy in a recent stream were talking about Genshin Impact and just talking about how addictive it is to play and stuff. And I'm like,
I
yeah,
heard,
I'm not touching that. I can't. I know my addictive personality will just want to like play that game all the time.
I'm the same way with TV shows. So I don't
Right.
really watch a lot of like Netflix or any of those TV shows because I know that people will say it's amazing, it's good. Oh, then I can't watch it, or else I'm not getting anything done. I'm just gonna watch
Right.
that.
So do you ever, maybe not Netflix, but do you listen to music while you're creating your work? Like I know some people will like watch something like Netflix or put on a podcast or, you know,
Oh yeah, I
watch.
listen to music when I'm conceptualizing.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it's really specific. When I'm conceptualizing, I listen to music because I think that you can get into a flow state, and the music, especially like music that helps you get creative or
Mm,
helps you think about like the vibe of the concept you're trying to make, it helps out a lot. But when I'm in the inking stage like this or coloring stage, I listen to books or I listen to podcasts because
yeah.
then it helps you not get bored, because sometimes it could be boring. Like doing this inking, it's fun, but it's semi-automatic. So if you have something to listen to that takes your attention away, I find that very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm the same. Like I can't really concentrate on two things at once. So if there's something a creative problem I need to solve or planning I need to do or, you know, writing emails and stuff like that, I'd really like a world where I could just like have Netflix on in the background or like be doing something else, but I can't focus. So I need to really focus. But if I'm
Right?
doing something that's a bit more manual, um, yeah, that's when some distraction gets turned on to kind of
Yeah.
keep me going.
I usually watch a lot of streamers as well, like
Mm,
video game streamers, just because it's slow, it's not too demanding of your attention.
mm.
And then once in a while they'll shout, and you're like, okay, now I'll look. But what? Usually they're just walking around, like, oh, okay, we're gonna go here now, and then it takes them an hour to do one thing,
Yeah.
because it can be too distracting also.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like the
Do we
inking
have
of
some
this is taking
names?
a
I think we
while.
got a few names for our tiger.
I hope they're
Um,
good. I hope they're decent. I mean, not like they're all good, but I hope they're decent.
they're better than my suggestion of Starbucks, that's for sure. Luna, which is a very nice name for a tiger.
Luna. Oh, it
Luna.
is the Lunar New Year. Might be a
Lunar
good
New
name.
Year. Yeah, very clever. That's good. Um, Arvin, I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but it's like TIGRE underscore and then a bunch of numbers. Oh, is that the date? Okay, that's the date. Yeah, so that's almost like calling it the file you might save it as or something. Um,
I'll save it as that file. I think that's a lot of numbers.
Yep. 02032022. That's good. I hope I got that right. Maybe there's something I'm missing there. Um, that is super cool. Miel asks, who's your favorite streamer?
Oh wow, that's very. Huh. That's actually that's tough because they're not really famous unless they're watching this, and you're totally famous, man. I like this guy right now. His name is Point Crow. So I was just watching a stream right before this. If anyone knows Point Crow, he's great. He plays Zelda Breath of the Wild and Pokemon, And what I love about his streams is that he's very young, not very young. He's like 23, but kind of in my age group. And he's just it's like hanging out with a friend. The way he reacts to it, the way he reacts very authentically to stuff happening in the game, and he has this "I'll do whatever you want me to do" attitude about like okay, like he'll ask, "Hey, stream, what do you think I should do now?" Even if it's impossible or ridiculous, he'll do it, which really feeds into my personality of I'll find a way no matter what. Like
Right.
like, okay, if that's the challenge, then that's the challenge. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to go do whatever chat says because that's going to be a fun challenge. And I always found that very interesting about him. So, yeah, shout out to Point Crow if you're watching this.
There you go. Like and subscribe.
Great question. That's actually a really interesting question. It's so niche.
La Tiger, Latte plus Tiger, was also another name suggested.
That is
by
interesting.
PL, so Latteeger. I love these creative names, guys.
That is
cool.
interesting. Although this tiger has nothing to do with coffee, I might just name it that. Just
It's
because
pretty cool.
it's an interesting name.
This is super cool. I love the sketching process. Like, it's so important, obviously, like to plan it out and know what you're doing and everything. But there's something very magical about this part of the illustration process. Like, this tiger looks awesome. Like, it's so cool.
Thanks.
And you zoom in really close, and like the texture of the brush, which we talked about a lot, like really just adds so much. And like the pressure sensitivity that you have to allow to, I mean, it's all using the same brush, right? Like the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just one brush.
Yeah, it's
And
wild.
I like the gritty brushes as well, especially for these digital murals, because again, when we go back and we start, let me try that. When we do the multiply thing that I keep talking about, it looks more realistic because it's not super clean. Well, it's black, so the multiply thing doesn't apply. But later, it'll look better.
When there's
But that's what
color.
I mean.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it looks a little more realistic too. Oh, okay, it's gritty. It looks like it was actually hand painted. So if you really wanted to impress your friends or trick someone into thinking you can paint the wall, that'd be perfect.
Nice.
Okay. I think I'm ready to go into color though, because most of the inking is usually when I do it at least, it's just usually like the main character and then the outside stuff. Usually I just color in and then ink them into
Very cool. Hey, we got another question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite project you've ever done? Wow.
You're
You're getting like a lot of like, head scratching questions today.
That's great. Good for me. That question I get a lot, and I never get the answer. Usually because the real answer is that I don't have a favorite project.
Right.
But not because I hate all my projects. It's more like it's also a character flaw, I think, for me, because I when people ask me this before on like shows and talks, the answer is my favorite project is what I'm working on right now, which is super motivational speaker type of answer.
Right.
My favorite project is the one I'm working on right now because I get so obsessed and absorbed into the creation of this thing. Like this project right now, it's what I'm obsessed with getting right. And then when I'm done, I say it becomes my least favorite project.
Right.
Because
as soon as it's done, you're like, that's trash.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No, well, a little bit, because when it's done and it's posted, so usually when it's posted, it's like, that's it. It's published. There's no changes.
Right.
That's when I start seeing little, oh, that could have been better. Oh, this definitely should have been better. Why did I think of that this time? It's only after you stop obsessing with the artwork, and you step back and like, okay, it's done. Here you go. Here you guys go. And you're like, oh no, there's so much wrong with it. Like the mural I did recently with the tigers that I showed last week. It's near my house, like 5 minutes from my house. So every time I drive by it, I'm just like, oh, that little dot right there. It's just slightly too close to this thing, or
But you're
okay.
the only one that sees that. You know that, right? Like you,
Well,
because you've lived
sometimes
it. No one else sees the little imperfections, and
no one else
or if
sees
they
it.
do
I know,
care,
but
yeah,
I think personally, it's just for me. It becomes the reason to get better for the next one. Like, okay, the next one has to be better than this. So it
right,
becomes my least favorite in a way that I see all the flaws, and then my next one becomes the favorite. Like, okay, gotta obsess over whatever next because we're gonna do better that time.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense. Like constantly wanting to improve on the next project and learning a little bit from each project and getting a little bit better, which is all good as long as you
yeah,
don't beat yourself up over it. It's like natural
not too
artist
much.
progression.
Most artists beat themselves up over their work, but
Yeah.
if you do it, like I'm gonna go motivational speaker mode, but like
Hmm.
if you beat yourself up and you never improve from it, then you're just beating yourself up. You're not really critiquing yourself. Because
Yeah.
that's what I do. It's more like I'm critiquing myself and thinking you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Like before I cleaned this design up, I shouldn't have deleted the layers, but I had a layer full of just notes. So usually when I'm done with an artwork, and this is just something I do for myself, I would get like a random color and then I would encircle problems. Like, okay, this ear, now I'm critiquing, like this ear looks too rigid. And then I'll say
Right.
fixed. Or this nose can be a better shape. And then, so when I come back to the artwork next time, okay, these things can be better. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't say I would say don't beat yourselves up. I would say critique yourselves. Be sure you can review your work and make
Mm.
changes if possible.
Yeah, that's cool.
There you go.
I like that, like leaving notes for yourself. Like, is that like when you're kind of done with time or you're done for the day and you're like, oh, I just want to kind of
Yeah,
leave little notes for myself because I'm really immersed right now. But,
like
I'm going to go.
if I'm
Mm,
done with the project, or if I'm done for the day, like I'm about to go to bed, or if I have to leave the cafe I'm working at or something, I'm like, I can't leave without making sure I know what's going to be the next move. Because when you
yeah.
open it, you just stare at it, nothing's gonna happen. But if I have like these little tiny fix this, fix that, it's like okay, that's where I start, and that becomes the warm up to whatever I have to figure out next.
Cool. I love it.
And
That's great.
especially also when you're a freelancer, when you're working by yourself, not a lot of people are there to give you feedback.
Mm,
It's not like when we were working at a studio with a group, you'd be like, "Hey guys, what do you think?" Um, and me, I could send it to my friends and just realizing that now. But for me, it's just like, okay, you have to, someone has to be there to be like, okay, step back and what can be improved. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, especially these days, sometimes you have to do that yourself. You have to.
yeah. But I'm definitely gonna try sending it to my friends as well,
So you have a
just so I
couple of
can.
friends who like would give you like harsh feedback, like if they're like, "Oh, this is wrong," or "This is, fix this
Actually,
up" and stuff.
no, that's also the issue.
They're too
Friends,
nice.
you guys are too nice, or at least they don't want to give me too harsh feedback. They're like, oh, it looks great. And then my personal standards for my work is, no, it's not great. Shut up. So sometimes I have to be the worst critic of my own work. That's
Yep.
really just what it's all
Yep.
about.
Um,
Go.
we have another question, and I think we're a bit over halfway as well. Letting you know.
Okay.
Actually, quite a bit over halfway. Wow, 20 minutes left. Getting into
Dang.
color.
Okay.
And this question is about color, so maybe you'll cover it anyway. But the question
Sure.
is, do you find yourself gravitating towards any particular colors for projects?
Ooh. Well, I think we answered this last time,
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
where it depends on what the project needs and the mood that you got to put into it, the kind of the context of the project. So, let's say I have a bunch of saved ones here. Um, just don't read the titles. Spoiler alert for some projects, but like this had to be something very fun, very vibrant, very loud. Um, and if you guys follow me, you guys will see what that's going to be in a few months. But so I had to go with really saturated, very very bright colors for that. Uh, like, but like for this project that I'm doing right now, this particular mural, you'll see that for some reason it's muted like this. because I wanted the red to really stand out. So
Right.
I'm going to color it mostly blue, the tiger blue, and then the background will be red. So the
Yeah.
context is I want amidst all these greens for it to catch the corner of someone's eye, because that's the point of it. Not everything has to be super colorful, but it has to catch the eye. So that's why I chose these colors.
Yeah.
So colors, again, it depends on the context. I don't have a go-to for most things. Just like, what is this for, and who is looking, or who do you want to look at it? And that's how I plan that out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I also don't know if the colors I picked will work. So we're all gonna discover that together.
We'll find out together.
Because I didn't try it. I didn't try it. I just like, these colors are interesting, and then I put them on here. Let's see if it'll work.
And do you know like which colors, when you have a color palette, like have a bit of an idea of which ones will be like secondary colors and which will be kind of primary,
Oh
and like
yeah.
which will, yeah, yeah.
I always plan out, like, look at this palette. I know like the red will be the background or the main color on the wall, and then these blues here will be the lighter tones, and the darker tones for the tiger. These will be the highlights. So I have a general idea usually when I go into an artwork to color what this color will be for, where I can use them, but I also like to explore a bit with it. We talked about a little bit of that last week, like exploration.
Yeah.
And I explore when it comes to colors, not when it comes to concepts. When it comes to layouts, it's a little harder because clients, they get antsy about it. Like, where's the layout? Where's the layout? Once it's set and done, like when you see this tiger, okay, it's gonna be a tiger. Okay, approved. Just color it.
Right.
You can have a little more. You have a little more breathing room to be like, okay, I can try different colors.
Would you show a client like colors, like if they needed to see what it was, or do you try to keep that to yourself until kind of the final version? Because colors are so subjective, right?
Yeah, but I always think colors are easier to change than it is to change the layout, because you erase a bunch of stuff, you have to resketch, realign things to make it look compositionally better. But when it comes to colors, I show them colors, yeah, but it's easy to change as long as the layout is more or less approved, so we don't have to change too much.
Yeah. And this is just you're just drawing on a painting, whatever, on a different layer just below the below the black.
Below the line work layer, that's usually how I just do it with different layers. Separate your layers just to keep it clean, and if you have to make any changes, it's easier. That's something I didn't learn until a few years ago only. When clients would be like, can you change just this part of the color? And then you realize you have to erase so much because you just drew on one layer.
Right. Yeah, layers are your friend for sure.
Well, they're there for a reason, right?
Another question that we have. Thanks for the questions today, guys. They've been great. Any concept art books you can recommend?
Concept art books. I don't collect a lot, actually, which is weird. But I am very interested. But this is not really about the art. It's more like how nerdy I am. I go to the bookstore and I check out all the movie art, the art books for movies, especially Marvel movies or Star Wars. I think because those are the most imaginative projects out there, the most imaginative movies, and so it makes a lot of sense to kind of want to emulate their art style or see why it's good. When you go to look at concept art, you're trying to figure out why does it look so good, and then you try to learn from that. So I go to the bookstores, I just open them up before anyone catches me, and just take a few notes and then go home. Because they cost so much. Those giant concept art books for movies and TV shows, they cost so much.
Yeah, I mean, I even have just a couple of Disney ones or something, and they're like this big and like this kind of thick, and I think they were all
because they're just coffee table books,
They pretty much are, yeah. But it has a lot of the sketching and kind of tweening animation style and stuff, so it's kind of cool to check out. But yeah, for me, it's just decoration, really.
Just fun to look at from time to time.
Yeah, every now and then.
But I guess now in the age of social media, it's like you don't need giant books to look at art anymore.
Yeah, it's all online, right?
And if someone's visiting your house and sitting at your coffee table, they're gonna be on their phone.
Yeah.
As much as I love those books, I have a bunch of big coffee table books from street artists I love. It's just like, okay, I can just go on social media and check out their work. So it's really
Yeah.
just collectors stuff.
Yeah.
That looks okay. Yeah, you guys are gonna see me change the colors a bunch just because I'm checking, and yeah, but that's a creative process. It's not always perfect. So it's a little more muted than my usual. 'Cause again, I want to challenge myself with it and see where it goes. And I can always adjust when it's there. A big part of being an artist, I think, is knowing when you have to be flexible with colors and stuff. So for me, I have the set color palette, and the challenge is to make it work. But if it doesn't work, you have to be able to tell yourself it really just doesn't go. So change it.
Yeah. So you got to try to not be too precious about the colors
Yeah,
and open to changing it around a bit until it starts feeling
yeah,
right.
because the challenge is really there for you to work with. What's happening? The challenge is there to work with, but also don't limit yourself too much if it really gets in the way of the artwork.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It looks like I masked wrong. So there.
That would have been a really hard thing to mask as well. The
Hmm.
all those leaves and everything.
Does anyone know how to fix this? Just kidding. Uh, there we go. See,
There we go.
I am a Photoshop genius. I
It
just
does
guessed
feel
that.
pretty amazing when you do something like that, though, doesn't it? You're like, haha.
Like it's like, oh, that's correct. All right. How did I do that? How do I remember to do that next time?
Yeah, it's remembering for next time without Googling it, right?
Just
Another question. Which do you prefer, more digital art or mural work?
oh, interesting. Prefer. If I were to just choose a field, I would do forever. I think mural work is my favorite. Um, I think I just love the tactileness of it, but really,
Right.
it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, almost literally,
Yeah.
to paint a mural. And that's something I love the most because it also feels like exercise and all that. But it really, when you're done, you can feel the work of your hands. You can really say, this is the work of my hands. You can
Right.
feel the satisfaction of, look what I made. And it took me it took me days, it took me a week to make this. I sweat so much, my knees ache, my hands are sore. But look, I finished it. It's great.
Yeah.
There's a real satisfaction to it. When I do digital work, yes, of course, it feels great. Like, okay, finish this. It's great. I post it. People love it. But I'm sitting. It's a comfort thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just personal preference. The satisfaction of it's like working out. It's like if you finish a rough workout without skipping the leg part. Um, when you have
Legs
a full day
legs
of
are not
a
fun.
full body workout. Okay, bench press. I love that. Okay, pull ups. I love that. Oh, squats. Oh, my toe hurts a bit. I'm gonna skip that. So
Yeah.
when you're finished, you go home. You're like, yeah, that didn't feel right because I skipped that. But it's the same as that when you finish a really hard gym session or something. Very
It's like a sense of satisfaction, and
yeah, a
you
physical
can't.
task. You're like,
Yeah.
that felt great, and that's the same as murals.
Yeah. I totally get that.
So if I had to
I
choose
think we
one,
spend like so much time in front of our computers and stuff like that. Like just having the opportunity to like do something different, be out in the environment, and there's no like Command Z on a wall,
yeah,
right?
all the work is manual. All the work
Yeah.
is tough. So it's like a long hike, really. When you get to the top of whatever mountain you're hiking, like, okay, that felt
Yeah.
great, but now I have to, but then there's the now I have to climb down, and that's the same as now I have to clean up uh, all the paint, all the stuff I use. I have to bring the ladders back, blah blah blah. It feels
Mm.
a little bit like that, but it's always satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Very
working out.
cool. I'll let you know. We've got about 10 minutes left, so
Oh,
that's our
okay.
timer.
Sorry, everyone. We're not gonna finish this today, but I will be posting the finished artwork. I promise I will on my Instagram when it's done. Probably by tonight or tomorrow night.
Don't add too much pressure to yourself. do it when it feels
Too
right.
late.
Make sure you're following Jappy on Instagram to check it out. And of course, I mean, I'm sure you guys are probably already following him anyway, but definitely do. And you can see examples of his digital murals, his physical murals, digital illustration, client work and stuff. You've got like a wide array of stuff on there.
Yeah.
And
And I answer a lot of questions on Instagram.
yeah,
I always find it like with all the stuff that I've been able to, I wouldn't think accomplish by myself. The one thing I really wish I had was a mentor. I didn't have one. The murals or the illustration or any kind of artwork, my freelance practice is just by myself, and I wish I had a mentor. So I try as much as possible to answer art questions on my Instagram if someone comes up to me. Chappy, how do I paint a mural? How do I fix this? Okay, let me know the details. Let's figure it out. I'll help you. I thought it's very important to teach the next people so that they don't
yeah.
make the mistakes you do. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone, if you have questions like you don't want to ask here, ask on my Instagram. I'll be happy to answer.
Oh, it's very lovely of you. It's very nice. I find that's a lot. I think we have these conversations quite a lot with people that they, feel like mentorship is lacking. I think a lot in the creative space, unless you're like in a design studio or something. But
Yeah.
illustrators don't really have design studios. Like, there's not like illustration studios. Pretty much all freelance, right? Like, unless you're
Yeah.
working for Pixar or Disney or something like that. And if
You're
you're
pretty much
working
by
there,
yourself.
you're probably already incredibly talented and have a lot of experience by that point anyway. So yeah, I hear that for illustration quite a bit, which I think is why a lot of people do go online and find communities, follow stuff like this, like ask questions. Because otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
how would you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And before when I was starting out, there wasn't a big social media thing.
yeah.
I was still around for that. I was still aware of that. Like there was no social media.
Mm,
Uh, and so there was really no place you can go to ask. There's really no
yeah.
no people. There's no community that you can easily access and be like, hey, am I doing this wrong, or can someone help me through this thing? So now I always say, as long as someone is willing to learn and they have a question, I'm gonna answer it. Doesn't matter like how long the question is or how detailed they need the answer to be.
Yeah.
I'll answer it.
That's cool.
So
And
I'm not
just
gonna finish this, but
yeah.
I'm just gonna. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I'm gonna do the patterns that people know me for.
Oh, it's funny I was about to ask you because we've only got
Yeah,
5 minutes left. Can you show us a little bit of the texture work? Because everyone
yeah.
loves
So
your
this is the
texture work.
texture
Yeah.
work. Again, it's just True Grit. They have a wide array. I mean, for one pack, I think it's like okay, I don't know how much, but for one pack you get like 50 brushes. And this one, people know me for this because I use it a lot, especially in my murals. Also, the the halftone pattern that comics use, and now with digital, I just use them to shade stuff.
Mm,
I think it adds an interesting dynamic to it. So yeah, I just use these, and then the brushes, they're very. You can change up the dynamic of it. It doesn't have to always be this size. You can change up the size and everything. So yeah, I always just add this just to give the artwork a little more personality. And also, when the colors are limited, like I'm trying to do, it helps to use this as like the gradient shader. Like it just
right.
gives a nice. Because there's also pressure to it. I'm not trying to be an ad for True Grit, but there's also pressure to it. So so yeah, I guess the takeaway would be you guys should try out different brushes, see what works for you.
Mm.
So I used a bunch of those.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
It adds so much, like even like color halftone kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, as like, you know, as you said, adds texture, like as you would expect, and also adds that depth. Really cool for like screen printing as well. Like if you ever have like a really limited color palette and you want to do some screen
Oh
print,
yeah.
it's like I can only, you know, it's a lot cheaper to use 3 colors than it is to use like 10. So it's a good way to add some depth and shading.
A lot of
It's
illustrators say that like the halftone, or they call it the Bend-Aid dots,
right.
technically. It helps them with the printing. So if you guys want to design for t-shirts, or if you guys want to design for like posters and stuff that will be screen printed, invest in a good halftone brush or a good halftone pattern on Illustrator. It'll save you a lot of time and headache, because sometimes you'll come back from the shop, they just told you, yeah, we can't print that, or it'll cost you this much because you have to print like 12 colors.
Yeah.
So yeah. Don't be surprised, guys, if the finished product has different colors. Just in case I find I have to use a different set.
Well, that's it. That's part of the process, right?
Yeah, that's looking so cool so far.
And I'll let you guys know as well, if you haven't joined us for the last couple of weeks, but one of the reasons we're doing it is Year of the Tiger. And so one of the reasons we've had some amazing artists like Jappy come on over the last couple of weeks is there's also, can I share this? Let me be technically proficient for just a second. So there's also a bit of a campaign on. So if you want to share, like create something tiger themed, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be illustration. It could be using any app, anything you like. There is actually a little bit of a campaign going on. You could win a Creative Cloud subscription or an extension if you already have one, and $1,000. So that will buy a lot of spray cans if you are in certain countries. So Australia and Philippines and a bunch down here. So you can check it out. It actually closes in tomorrow. So it actually closes tomorrow. So check it out. If you've been thinking about maybe do it. Someone's going to win that stuff, and there's a bunch of runner-up prizes and stuff like that. You can check it out. Johanna will share the link in chat if that's something that you want to do. We'll be checking them out. I'm interested to see what is submitted. So it's pretty cool.
You can only be one winner?
There's one main winner, and then there's like a runner-up prize, and then I think there's like a bunch of honorable mentions. They all get stuff, but I don't.
Am I allowed to join? Because that is a lot of spray cans.
Yeah, you can join, I think. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm submitting this. Just kidding. I'm submitting
as
this.
Far as I'm aware. But there's just about 2 minutes left, so about one more minute, I think, of inking and everything like that, and then we're going to have to wrap up. It's been so much fun hanging out with you, Jappy.
Yeah, it's fun. So that's pretty much how it would look with the red, but I still got to adjust the layers in a bit to make it more vibrant. So you have to play around with it. I think you have to make this mostly more white. So yeah, that's what I intend it to look like, at least.
Right.
And then just play around with the opacity. And multiply. Yeah, it should look something like that.
As soon as you do the multiply, it's just such a great effect. Like it really does look like it's kind of, part of the wall.
And real quick note, just for everyone, to make it look more realistic, like I had to mask out all these things that go in front of it, but also on the wall, like these pipelines. I masked that out, so it still looks like, oh, okay, realistically, you can't paint over those.
Right.
Or like this hole in the wall. So it makes it more it gives the illusion that it's real. If you really look at it.
That's a good point, rather than just masking out the hole and blocking in those masking out those little bits that you wouldn't be able to paint anyway. Like add some realism to it. Like it's a small detail, but it probably adds quite a bit.
Yeah, because so people will think, oh, okay, so it really is on the wall because he didn't paint over the trees or he didn't paint over this hole. must be real.
It
Yeah,
must be real.
it must be real. And then there, it should stand out from like the rest of the scenery like this. It's kind of the goal here, but I still have to do a lot more coloring to and fixing to figure it out. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of how it should look.
Well, that's awesome because that takes us to the end. We're done. Thanks so
Oh,
much for hanging out with us, Jappy, man. It's been great.
this is really fun. Yeah.
I love having a chat and geeking out with you. I think we have a
Yeah, it
lot
was
in
mostly
common
geek
from like,
stuff today,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Man, once the ball gets rolling, we geek out here on Adobe Live. So yeah, tons of fun. Thank you so much. Follow Jappy on Instagram if you're not already to check it out. And you know, he mentioned that he would post his tiger. Check out the campaign if you want to get involved. There's some great prizes to win. Happy Lunar New Year. We hope you all have a wonderful year. And thanks for the wonderful questions. And we'll be back next week with more Adobe Live.
All right.
Thanks again, Jappy. Thanks for hanging out with
Everyone,
us.
thank you so much. This was fun.
All right. See you, everyone.
See you guys.